Hey everybody, this is Nathan Good. I'm here at the Shangrilah house, currently with Tree and Taylor here. And this all kind of came to be after going to energy fairs and learning from all the people who've been doing this for many years before me. This was a 1973 Baca barn that I repurposed, re-insulated, and basically what you're going to see here in a minute is the off-grid hybrid systems that I put together along with Eric Mackey and Talmud Lakai of New Gen Energy. So this is just a quick tour of what can be done in the Baca with an old house. So one of the first things I learned was to have a close relationship with nature, and the foundation of our lives as humans and animals too is understanding the connection between the plant biome, the Father Sun, and the Mother Earth. So right before we headed south, we had 7 goats here, and we were milking every day for the farm share members to deliver to town. And we had a milking parlor here. We did move it inside, but basically we had to move the goats south because we didn't have enough food to feed them and it wasn't very sustainable. This is basically a small food forest. It started as just a vegetable garden, but we ended up repurposing most of the soil to try to get perennials going. We've got Nanking cherries, plums, and a various amount of different plants. And this has been feeding us and many other people for many years here in Crestone. Not using, so. Well, you can come on in and get whatever kind of shot you like.
Yeah. How many are these, Nathan?
There's 6 of these 275-gallon repurposed totes that once had honey in them. And Eric Mackey and we created a manifold and plumbed them all together. And the reason we did this was we had some water interruptions with the Baca Water and Sanitation District. So I just got tired of not having reliability, so to take matters into my own hands, I did this after researching, finding out that I could do this as long as it was classified as a fire cistern. So I have a very large feed tube for rapid dispensement into a fire cistern outside that can be used in the event that its emergency requirements are called on.
Wow.
But this whole system can be pumped off-grid using the solar system, the PV system. In addition to backup water, it provides resiliency in the event that our neighbors are also out of water.
Wow.
I don't know exactly where we're going to go with that, but we'll...
And real quick, and this is just to say it, I mean, and this is all under a crawl space of your house so it doesn't freeze. Never had any issues with anything freezing?
That's correct. So basically, it also serves as a climate battery. So what you have is 1,650 gallons of water that can be, basically swapped out whenever necessary. So for example, if we don't need it for a bit, we can water the garden or actually turn it into a useful water system to replenish it. So in that way it doesn't get stagnant or sit around. But yeah, this is based on a lot of resiliency methods I learned at CREMPI, which is the Central Rocky Mountain Permaculture Institute. So this is just a solar hydronic system, solar thermal, and this could be grid powered or off grid powered. So we have backup systems that allow this to be operated when there is no electricity. We can swap out the plugs right here. So this is a solar plug and this is a grid plug. So basically we are redundant and hybrid systems based on the fact that we do have power interruptions. So we want to have the choice of either or. Okay, so jumping to gray water, one of the things that's required by the state is you have to have this T-handle here. So if you have an appliance that's classified as gray water, such as a bathroom sink or bathroom tub, you have this gray water T-handle. One goes to sewer, one goes to gray water. So we're going to go ahead and pop it onto gray water now, and then we'll follow this out to where it leads to next. So just in case water and sanitation goes down, I put this composting toilet based on the Cliva system. So inside of this trash can, there's layers of wire. At the top, it's pretty large diameter, 2-inch chicken wire, and gets down smaller. And if it ever did go down, there's a toilet right inside here that you can actually poop in with sawdust. And here's the vent pipe. This goes up and out on the roof, and there's an inlet right over here. So it's really a real simple system that anyone can create without having to purchase a commercial grade composting toilet. Since it is for emergencies only, we tend not to try to use this unless the backhoe is out. And every now and then the water's out and you can't flush a toilet. So
and what happens with it when you fill it? Is you can remove it with the...
Yes. So basically there's a system here that detaches. You can see these hinges up here. So this is a complete detachable system. This whole thing comes apart. And in the about 7 years that this has been here, I've only had to do it once, take it out, and put it in the human manure pile, but I don't typically use it unless we're down. And we had a 6-hour outage, so you had to go somewhere. You could go to town, but depending on who you know, you may not have a flush toilet, so you gotta defecate. So in order to keep the odor down, we use some of this black 4-inch tubing, and that's heated by the sun, just like a Sunny John. It just drafts out any of the odors, and I just attach that to my solar hydronic panels up there. In the event that there's wildfires in the area, I did put this super high-tech HEPA filter here. It looks like an air conditioner, but believe it or not, there's a pre-filter, and it's about an $800 filter that I got for about $300 on Amazon a while back.
Wow.
But that is, I put that in 2010 when we had these serious fires over near South Fork that just was devastating, and we could barely breathe. So air quality stuff. Yeah, so when I say hybrid systems, I'm trying to cover all the gamuts just to be able to cover myself and my family in the event that things collapse. Just inside this door here, you can pan over, you can see this, all my batteries and charge controllers and the inverter and things like that for the photovoltaic system. But in addition to that is where the manifold comes down for the gray water. The gray water comes under us here and then flows right down to the sediment tank. Under this old truck bed liner, there's a 150-gallon tank with screens that catch the gray water. We have to clean the screens from time to time, but basically what it does is it collects any solids that are going to be having troubles breaking down and clogging up the reed bed, which as you can see right now, it's already starting to kind of, we're in autumn now, so we're starting to slow up on our greening. But that is an example of out of the sediment tank, you have a reed bed, and in this reed bed is the scoria, and we inoculated that with the microbiology that is locally here on the creeks. All of this cattails and rush were transplanted from the local biomes. So all these local biomes have been kind of tailored to meet the local climate. So that way we don't run into large die-offs from having plants from another region. So these are all indigenous plants from this region. So after it goes out of the sediment tank, there is a small site zone here that you can just check the water. This is some orchard grass, and then we have some local fruit trees here, and right in here at the bifurcation it kind of goes down. There's 2 zones that go down. Here's some wild lettuce, great painkiller. Some motherwort. If you're feeling a little stressed, you can have some tea and calm down. We have a lot of mint in here. There's some walking onion, some comfrey over here, Pete.
Oh yeah.
And indigenous yucca. We did not move the yucca. We decided to just let it be. So we're working towards the greenhouse here. The intention was any extra water that didn't get taken from this little, I call it a guild. We're trying to create a guild of plants that like to live together. But after this water is coming through here, there could be extra water for the greenhouse. It never became the case, so we tend to water the greenhouse with, we try to use rainwater if possible. If we get enough off the roof, we can divert it. Otherwise, we get just a small amount of water legally to use for our home use plants only. Come on in, and welcome to the Climate Battery Greenhouse here at Shangrilah. kind of stand back, maybe get a view of, let's see, maybe that works. So right here is the intake for the climate battery. This climate battery has been in use for about 7 years now. So this riser is drawing hot air down from the apex up here, down into this tube, and under this there's a manifold, another 12-inch diameter PVC tube with 32 4-inch diameter perforated pipes that run beneath us here. And what that's doing, it is basically putting the hot air under us, warming this soil. Now, as it warms the soil, it takes the heat out of that air, and then as it exhausts at the far end over here, which we'll take a look at in a minute, it's between 20 and 30 degrees cooler. So we actually have a very effective cooling system, and it also, the biostasis of the air is just, you can smell it, it's almost like an air conditioner or a water cooler. In the winter time, that effect isn't quite as effective. Let's say it's 65 in here. By the time it goes through the earth, it's actually warming the air, so it might come out over there at 75 if we're lucky. I've seen it up to 15 degrees warmer, but it's true. It's not quite as warming as it is cooling. So that's why they say climate battery. It kind of equalizes the temperatures based on your relative stasis. And that took about 3 months to get that reading. And we did the readings for about 2 weeks, just to kind of try to get a baseline trend on how effective this system was working. So we're hoping to do more experiments, but out of all the climate batteries in Crestone, this one seems to be more effective at cooling, which is very important. Obviously, it's been quite warm lately. But also, between 15 and 20 degrees warming in the winter, it's nothing to shake a stick at. So we're very happy with it, especially with a low investment of about $400 for all these parts. And yes, a bit of labor, digging and laying in tubes, but not so bad when you have nothing else to do. So up here we have just some good old-fashioned computer fans. Those are on their own separate panels, so they're helping with some ventilation. Greenhouses are historically known for failing if there's not good ventilation, so we've just used regular fans to try to move the air around in here. Normally these windows are open, but we have shut down for that cold front that came in a couple of weeks ago. We haven't really got things going again. But as you can see, the tomatoes survived, so we'll eat some of those. So over here, we have the exhaust. So after the intake sucks the hot air down, run through all these tubes, there's another manifold over here. There's a riser there, and a riser here. And again, that was reading 100. Just a few moments ago, it was 100 degrees over there, and I just set it over here a few moments ago, and it's already down to 70. So it is cooling at 30 degrees from the intake to the exhaust, and that's pretty normal to be expected here. So we're very happy with that. I think climate batteries are worth the investment. I would probably do more perimeter insulation if I were to do this again, and probably another foot of soil. We could still add that. I tend to put compost in the aisles. Last year's biomass, compost from the cloud station, wherever we can get it, to build up the biome with the worms, and then we'll use that to fertilize the beds for the next year. These poppies succumbed to the cold front. There's a few little kale left. I'm so surprised the squash made it. It's wonderful. On the roof up here, we've got some photovoltaics, and to the left of that, there's the thermal solar panels. But this solarium here directly ahead of us is a very important part of this house. It's a passive solar room. It can be multi-purpose, but that room has a plenum that will draw air into 3 of the rooms in the house. So you can actually it's similar to the climate battery, where you're able to take that solar heated air and just put it where you want it. Again, these systems have to be done with a crawl space. Very important. If you don't have a crawl space, you can't really do climate batteries. You can't really do gray water. It's very difficult to do it. So a crawl space is crucial in this kind of house design with this system. So anyway, one of our intentions here was a repurpose thing. So this solar powered chicken coop, was collected from just many people's trash piles. Pretty much everything on here except the EPDM and the straw bales. There's barley straw behind that black rubber. So this whole structure has been used to produce eggs in the winter about 1/3 more than if I didn't have the solar collector. The chickens are much happier, and yes, it's true, it's high maintenance to do chickens, but I believe in eating eggs. I don't eat a lot of meat, so I prefer to drink the milk of the goat and the egg of the chicken, and nurture them and steward them and repurpose as much stuff as possible to reduce our consumption and not be reliant upon the centralized food systems, which may or may not be healthy anymore. We're not certain yet. I think some companies are reputable, but others, we may not want to eat that food anymore. One of the things in Colorado, if you have animals, it's hard to keep the water from freezing, or you have to use electric powered heaters. So we've looked at Mother Earth News, and there's a lot of models out there, but this is a repurposed old freezer that I cut open, put an old camper discarded window, and the goats can't bust that. And they drink all day, and at night you close that up and it doesn't freeze. It's amazing. So basically, in a nutshell, recapping, why am I doing this? I was doing this to get closer down, to try to take a moment when I can to educate myself and the children about the importance of what's going on here. With the sun and the earth, you have this, it's pretty dry. If you add water, this comes alive. And when it comes alive, you get a biome. And the biome is dependent upon how much you steward and love it. So if you put energy into it, you're gonna get a yield. You'll get it out. But if you don't, if this gets too dry, these bugs will die. And then you're not gonna get plants. These are goji berries, they're spreading like crazy. But basically, you gotta add water. You gotta have biomass to hold the water and so on. But really our goal here is to do symbiosis with the planet, with the community, with as many functions as possible. It's called stacking functions. And so that's what we've attempted to do here. And I think we could improve on it, continue, but I had to switch gears. I had to take the farm south where we had more goat food to be more sustainable, rather than hauling 6 tons of alfalfa in here every year. So we didn't leave Crestone, we just moved the farm. So in moving the farm, we're learning a lot more. We're bringing the milk back to the community. We're not collecting the compost from Shangrilah or Elephant Cloud anymore, but we're passing the torch, so to speak, of a lot of the systems we've built. And so I'm just looking forward to someone to continue stewarding this project. And I'm really excited to, whoever takes it on, I will teach them everything I've known about it, how to keep it in shape and revitalize and actually improve upon it. So anyway, with the mountains behind us here, you can't really miss this spot. It's kind of a landmark, and so hopefully this video will inspire folks, and the Energy Fair will continue, since all this is pretty much inspired from the Energy Fair, which I started helping participate in '91. So it's been like a real big project for me, and it's just an honor to continue this. So thank you guys for coming out.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Nathan.
appreciate it very much.